friends, it's Ren, and today I'm going to be doing a little book unhaul for you guys. The main reason that I'm doing this is to, one, just, talk about the books that I'm getting rid of, but also to show you there are a couple books in here that I'm kind of iffy about just because I have not read them. I haven't even tried to read them, but sometimes there's those books that just sit on your shelf and you have no interest. Maybe you got them at a yard sale, or you got them in another kind of sale that was very cheap, and you're just kind of looking at them and you're like, I bought these because they were inexpensive, and that's the only reason. So I'm showing you this partially so you can tell me not to get rid of a book if you think that I will absolutely love it. Other than that, I'm just showing you the books that I'm getting rid of. There's quite a number of them. There's, I think, over 30, because I've just been rearranging my shelves a lot. I've been getting a lot of new books, so I need to figure out how. I'm not getting more than 2 shelves. I've made that promise to myself, so I'm trying to rearrange things and figure out how to go. All that said, let me just get into showing you the books that I'm getting rid of. So I'm arranging these books into categories, and the first category is books that I've read that I liked, but I just know I'm never gonna read again. For the first in that category, I have The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. I liked this book fine. It was an enjoyable read. I'm never gonna read it again. Same with The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This was actually a very pleasant YA standalone fantasy. I think this is probably my favorite book that I'm getting rid of, but I'm just never gonna read it again, and I need to be honest with myself about that. It was pretty unremarkable, so I'm getting rid of it. Next is Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun. Never gonna read it again. Next, Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. Same thing. Didn't care for it particularly. Then we have Winterwood by Shay Earnshaw. Same thing. Next, we have The Midnight Lie. So I debated keeping this, partially because the cover is so pretty, but also because, I enjoyed it fine. I really liked the romance, and I think I am going to be reading the second one. That the same is going to be said for All the Stars and Teeth. Literally exactly the same situation. So both the covers are gorgeous, and I do think that I am going to be reading the sequels of both of these, but I think I am going to pick them up at the library instead. This is something that I'm learning from this unhaul and seeing all these books stacked, ready to go wherever their next home may be, is that I need to go to the library more instead of buying books and then just thinking I'll love them. That's usually not the case. So these two definitely were maybes for me, but I feel like the Marie Kondo in me says that I need to put them out to pasture. Next, we have Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. Very good. This one I debated keeping just so I could loan it out. Sometimes I'll do that, even if I know I'm not going to read a book again. I will keep it so that I can give it to someone else. But I figure, why? When I could just give it to my library, and they could do the same thing to more people. So I'm giving it to my library. And finally, I have my more controversial unhaul, I guess, and it is Girls of Paper and Fire. I feel like it was like a wave for this book where people loved it when they first read it, then people overhyped it, so then the next wave of readers were like, this isn't that good, and I was part of that wave. Didn't speak to me. I thought the world was really cool. I think it was the writing. It was just too choppy for me. Not the writing, but my interest in it. In one scene I would be completely enamored, and then the next scene I could not care less. So yeah, I just know I'm never gonna read it again, and if someone else in the world will like it more than me, then they can have it. The next category is books that I have DNF'd. First in that category is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. I think I got 20 pages into it and I was like, this is just not for me. I just thought it was very boring. And I was listening to the audiobook too, so for me to think that an audiobook is too boring to listen to, especially for a book that is relatively short, I was like, this ain't it. So, gone. Same for Enchantée by Gita Trelease. Can't pronounce either of her names. It was just so boring, and I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about the plot or the characters or the world building. So yeah, gone. Next, I have Romanov by Nadine Brandes. I have tried to read this book 4 separate times, DNF'd it every single time. If someone wants to tell me that this is like a really good groundbreaking novel, I will listen and I will try again, because that happened to me with Lovely War by Julie Berry, which I ended up giving 5 stars after DNFing it 3 times, I think. So if someone wants to tell me that this is great, I will try again. But for now, going into the unhaul pile. The next 2 books were books that I really hated. The first one is Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. I hated it. I don't know what to say. Like, I hated the writing. I hated the characters. I just thought it was so boring. Also, this cover is hideous. So I don't even have that reason. Gone. Next, I have the saddest entry to this, I think, of all the books. I'm looking at them to confirm with myself, but it is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I thought that I was going to love this. This was a 5-star prediction for me, and I hated it. I hated the way that it was written. I hated the voice, I should say. The writing style wasn't bad, but it was the voice. I couldn't deal with him. I'm not gonna get into it. I just hated this. So, gone. And I can't wait until it's permanently out of my life. The next category is books that I finished, but I didn't like. So, first we have Nimona. Controversial right from the get-go. People love this book. Bland to me. Bland. I just didn't care. The whole time I was reading it, I just didn't understand why everyone loved it so much. Yeah. Not for me. Next, I have You Asked for Perfect by Laura Silverman. Same with Nimona. I just was so bored the entire time. I liked the Jewish rep in this a lot, but everything else, not so much. Also, this is an ARC. It was sold to me via thrift books, so if anyone wants to tell me how to properly dispose of an ARC, that would be great, because I know you're not supposed to sell them. I don't know if I can give it to my library or what I can do, but yeah, I don't know. Next, I have Sometime After Midnight by Elle Phillips. This book was just messy, is the best way to describe it. Messy, it came for multiple groups. It was very fat-phobic, just not good. Not good, not enjoyable, so gone. Next, we have Black Chalk by Christopher Yates. I hated this book with a fiery passion. If you wanted to hear about how much I hated it, you can watch my Reading the Aesthetic Dark Academia video, because I really went into it there. And also that video is almost at 800 views, so if you want to help me out with that, I'd be very happy. But yeah, this book was trash. Hated it so much, and I can't wait for it to be gone. Similar to Mr. Penumbra's. Couldn't stand it. The next 4 books that I'm getting rid of in this category were all sci-fi. Are we surprised? So we have Once and Future by Amy Rose Capetta and Corey McCarthy. This book was like reading a more diverse General Hospital. I will say this killed it in the diversity department, but other than that, I really liked it at the beginning, but then the story just fell apart. There was a plot twist type thing at the end that really just took me out. Terrible ending, and that is always the most painful thing in a book. I would rather not like a book the whole way through than let it have a good beginning and a terrible ending. Travesty. So yeah, getting rid of that one. Next, I have The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick. Hated this, hated it, hated it, hated it. Go watch my Reluctant Reader Sci-Fi to hear why. Just bad. A bad book. Next, we have Machines Like Me by Ian McEwan. This book was also pretty messy, in my opinion. Dealt with things very poorly. Again, if you want to hear more thoughts about it, you can watch my Reluctant Reader Sci-Fi video. I will link it above or down below. And the last book in this category is The Last Voyage. The last book in this category is The Last Voyage. Why can I not say voyage? The Last Voyage of Poe Blythe. Jesus Christ. This book was so boring and just bland. And it's funny because it's probably the most action-packed book that I've ever read, but that's not for me. I'm bored by action. I want character development. Silly me. So, yeah, just not into this one, which sad because look at how beautiful that cover is. The next category is the problematic author category. So these are books that I'm getting rid of because the author did some problematic stuff or gives me like bad vibes in some type of way that I know that if I read it, I won't be able to separate those thoughts from what I'm reading. So I'm like, I'm probably not going to enjoy this anyway. Does that make sense? I hope so. The first two books are Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky by Mackenzie Lee. Mackenzie Lee did some shit. I'm not gonna like tell you what these authors did because I am not a drama channel. Google is free, so you can figure out why these people irritate me or what they did to make me mad. But beside that, I didn't like this book that much, so it's gone. That just further cemented it for me that these need to be off my shelf, so there they go. Next we have We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I just don't like sci-fi in general as well as him being questionable. So, oh god, I look so pale. Is that better? I think that's better. Anyway, so yeah, I just don't like sci-fi. As you can probably see from this unhaul, I've pretty much gotten rid of every single sci-fi book that I've ever read. I'm getting rid of it. So, yeah. And finally, this last one, I don't like this author, like, at all. From every interaction I've seen of his, I just think that he needs to work on himself. And that would be Jay Kristoff. This might be an unpopular opinion, but he just irks me. And it makes me really sad because the premise of this sounds so interesting, but I don't know if I can get over it being Jay Kristoff. I just don't know if I can. I feel like this book is kind of gonna bother me. I don't know. I just don't think I'll be able to separate it. I could try, but there's so many other books that are not written by people who undermine the thoughts and opinions of Black women. So, like, the last category is the category that I think I am most easily going to be swayed by the opinions of you. If you guys have any strong opinions about these books, let me know, because these are all books that I haven't read, but I just don't have any desire to read, that I picked up at like a sale or something of that nature, and I didn't pick them up necessarily because I was super interested. I picked them up because they were cheap. So if you guys see a book in here that you absolutely love, or you think at the very least that I would absolutely love, please let me know. First, I have Round Ireland with a Fridge by Tony Hawks. This was kindly sent to me by my close personal friend, best-selling author John Green. I am not a huge travel memoir person unless it is like a travel memoir from back in the day, so this didn't super appeal to me, I guess, and I tried to read it a little bit and it was fine, but like, I don't think that I'm gonna get anything out of it. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a favorite of mine, but let me know if you've read it and you think that I should keep it. Next, we have Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This book had a lot of controversy surrounding it, and I just am not interested in that, especially the brand of controversy it was. That's something that's kind of making me less eager to pick it up. Other than that, I just am not very interested in the story. It takes a lot, now that I've like read a lot more than I have at the time when I got this book, which I got in an owl crate, by the way. It takes a lot for me to be interested in a YA fantasy. Like, I have to be really interested in the premise because so many of them have let me down. I'm just not interested enough in this one. And that's the long and short of it. But again, if you think that I would absolutely love it, let me know, and I will maybe not get rid of it. The last two books I know literally nothing about. I read the descriptions of them and I thought that they were vaguely interesting and I needed to get that free shipping, and also I was just like, it was early booktube days when I was trying to buy all these books. These are unrelated except for the fact that I feel exactly the same about them, which is the way that I just described. But it is The Lantern's Ember and The Traitor Prince, which is by CJ Redwine and Colleen Houck? I don't know what these are about. I have no perception whatsoever. If you have read them and you think that they're great or that I'll like them, or if they're like trashy and fun, also let me know. But that is it for my shelf book unhaul. I need to get rid of these so desperately. I might sell some of them on Depop. I don't know if I will. Well, maybe if I decide to, I will leave my Depop below so you guys can peruse, I guess, if you are interested in such things. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a good reading month. I'm kind of not, but you'll find out about that in my July wrap up. You'll find out about it then. Have an amazing day, my friends, and until next time, bye!
You sit there in your heartache, waiting on some beautiful boy to save you from your old ways. You play forgiveness, watching now, watch him go. He doesn't